what we see here is very clearly we're back into this pivot line. Now, this pivot line is still technical major support, but I got to say again, you have the S&P up slightly on the day, Bitcoin down slightly on the day. If this line breaks and we confirm, now confirmation is really, really important. If we confirm, watch this 52,000 level right down here. That would not be outlandish. And again, Bitcoin and the altcoins and a lot of these coins are very concerning because of their reaction to even just a minor sell in the stock market. That's the kicker here. And I've said this for a long time. I love Bitcoin, but it's very correlated to risk assets. And what I don't love is the stock market valuations. And if the stock market goes down, Bitcoin unfortunately gets hit. Now, great buying opportunity, though, at the right levels. And I will be there waiting with both hands ready to grab it at that right level. Maybe I'll give you guys my key HODL levels at some point.
Bitcoin Zella stands out with its simplicity and clarity. We've crafted an experience that anyone can dive into, whether you're a crypto expert or just a new to the crypto world. Now, guess who keeps his eye on us? The author of best-selling book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And we want to take this opportunity and thank all the people who trusted us, and we read every comment. And the best part, it's free. Subscribing now means you will get all new information for free. Don't just follow the trends, stay ahead of them. Subscribe to Bitcoin Zella today and enjoy the new edge. In this video, let's discuss these topics and more.
Follow me over to the big board here. Let's take a look at what is going on in the markets. So what we have is an S&P, you can see in the Dow Jones Industrial, and even in the NASDAQ, essentially flat to green on the day, right? Yesterday we had a nice little sell-off. Today we're seeing a much quieter day. 67 points higher on the Dow, 32 on the NASDAQ, and just 4 points on the S&P, eking out that small gain. Now looking down here, this is where things get more interesting. Oil right now is fractionally positive. It was up more early in the day, but what we did see is kind of a fade as the escalation, we didn't see that major escalation today like we did yesterday. In addition, if you've been following my analysis, we know oil was still below the major technical level, and therefore, obviously, what we're seeing here is a market that is kind of, still bearish on oil, frankly, even with what's going on in the Middle East. Gold today down $5, basically a flat day there, and then Bitcoin really struggling still. Amazing how much Bitcoin is struggling, down about 500 points today. All right, let's get into some of these charts here, folks, as we take a look, and let's see what we have. So the S&P 500, if we flip over to the charts, look at how quiet this action was today. Here was your little gap down and drop, and then we went up, and then look at how quiet. And what we can do here is we can draw and connect these lows. Really remarkable, right? So we have essentially what would be referred to as a wedge pattern, which essentially is telling you you're consolidating. You have your highest point here, your lowest point here, and then the rest of the day was inside of that range. It's coming to a head. This tells me there could be a major move either tomorrow or Friday, breaking us up or breaking us to the downside. Now, if we flip over to the daily chart, let's do that right now, we can see that we are still just hovering a little bit off the all-time highs. And for me, at least, the only level where I would flip majorly bearish would be as if we got below this line. Why is this line important? Because it's the previous all-time high before we took it out. So you have a breakout, technically speaking, a breakout here. You don't want to see a breakout fail. If you start trading below this area here, that would be extremely bearish, and you'd see the algos start to sell heavily, and the market would likely drop. My guesstimation here is we would very quickly fall down to this lower level right in this range. That's around 5,250 on the S&P or 525 on the S&P 500 or the spiders here.
Bitcoin's recent price drop to $60,823 has sparked concerns among some traders, but many analysts maintain a positive outlook. Despite the price slipping by 6% over the past 3 days, the overall market structure remains bullish, according to key voices in the community. Bitcoin has dropped about 6% in the past 3 days, falling from 2-month highs above $66,000 to the $60,823 level. This marks yet another retest of the $60,000 support level, a crucial psychological barrier that traders are closely watching. However, analyst Rect Capital argues that testing $60,000 isn't unusual and shouldn't cause panic among investors. Rect Capital and Trader Joe both stress that Bitcoin's market structure remains bullish. Rect Capital noted that Bitcoin has tested the low $60,000 zone multiple times in recent months, each time with a different narrative fueling fear. Yet the bullish structure hasn't been broken. Gel echoed this sentiment, emphasizing that Bitcoin is turning key resistance levels into support and advising traders not to get shaken out. On-chain data from the short-term holder spent output profit ratio, SOPR, reveals that speculators are taking profits, contributing to Bitcoin's recent dip. Analyst Checkmate highlighted that dips below the SOPR's 1.0 level are often buy the dip opportunities in bull markets, signaling that Bitcoin's current priced action could be seen as a stacking opportunity for long-term holders.
Going quickly back to the charts, let's take a look at gold. Gold today, flat on the day, nothing much going on there. Everyone waiting for those jobs numbers, and even silver up just slightly on the day. Oil today, if we look at oil hit off that trend line. How many times have we talked about this trend line? Goes right up there, gets rejected again, even in spite of all the tensions in the Middle East and the escalation. It still comes right back in, basically flat on the day. And then lastly, natural gas. With members of Smart Money stocks and ETFs, I did add to this short position today beautifully when we were at the high here. And again, we've pulled back just a little bit. It does not appear we'll confirm a breakout today. Doesn't mean we can't confirm tomorrow, but at this point, it doesn't look like we'll confirm today. All right, without confirmation, it could be a fake out. We'll always remember that, guys. Always remember, confirmation to me is the end-all, be-all of whether it's a real breakout or a fake out. And don't think those institutions aren't licking their chops, looking at you and saying, oh, man, I hope we can convince millions of traders to jump the gun and stop out of their shorts and go long just so we can whip it the other way. Not saying that that'll happen, but it does happen from time to time. In fact, very often when you don't get confirmation. Now, one chart that I was eyeing today, take a look at this chart, guys. One of my favorite charts. In fact, I'll walk over to the big board to kind of go over it here. Let's take a look at this now. This is WBA, Walgreens Boots Alliance. Now, again, if you're in the U.S. or even if you're in areas of certain around the world, you're probably very familiar with Walgreens. Now, listen, they've been struggling. In fact, if you go back to, I think, about 10 years ago, the stock is down 90% from its highs 10 years ago. If you just go back to the beginning of this year, down 66%. Now, this is where a millionaire trader's made, right? If you want to be the cutting edge, you don't want to buy the rips, meaning once something breaks and rips higher, you don't want to be that person buying the highs. That's called FOMOing in. People that FOMO in lose all their money, all right? Ask anyone that does it. You know, it doesn't usually work out well. Sometimes it works out okay. More often than not, eventually you get burned doing it. What you want to find is the chart that is getting ready to go parabolic. And I'm not saying this is necessarily going to go crazy to the upside, but what I'm very carefully watching is this right here, right? You have a very clear downsloping wedge pattern, and downsloping wedge patterns to me are very bullish when they're at the lows. Essentially, price is being constricted more and more and more until you want to see a breakout. The breakout level is $9. If this gets above $9, I think it goes back to 12, maybe even 15. It's also a stock where you could see an activist investor get involved. I know even with CVS, that's been going on just a little bit. So watch this at a break of $9. Beautiful wedge pattern, again, constricting price at the lows, multi-year lows, decade lows, in fact, going back to like 1990s or something like that. Watch to see if we get a breakout. And by the way, one of the things to keep in mind is this is how I find these plays, folks. People always are like, man, how did he know that, gold was going to rip to 2,500 when it was at 19 to 2,000 early, start of the year? Well, again, I love to look at assets that are unloved because it means they're underinvested. And these are the things that make millionaire investors and traders. You have to be someone that's willing to analyze, to do your research, study the charts, and even look at things when everyone else is telling you it's a horrible idea. I know it's crazy, but sometimes going against the crowd can actually be really profitable. Another great example, China. All right, everyone wants to claim, oh, they knew China was going to go. Yeah, right. Give me a break. 2 weeks ago even, I was talking to you guys about China and the comments that I saw. He's crazy, China, you can't invest, it's uninvestable. Here we are, PDD, Pinduoduo, up like 60% in 2 weeks. I mean, and by the way, that's like $100+ billion company. That's not a small move. It's not like a small cap going up 20% or 50% or 100%. $100 billion company surging 60% from peak to trough. So you got to take these shots. And again, listen, you don't have to take them in a heavy manner, right? It's not like you have to say, oh, well, I got to go all in. In fact, that's the stupid thing to do. Because for number one, you don't know if you're at the lows. It could go lower. You could be early to the party. And you could be looking at other things.
Bitcoin's price is showing signs of weakness as it forms the three blind mice trading pattern, according to veteran trader Peter Brand. This pattern, often associated with bearish continuation, signals that Bitcoin may face further declines in the coming days. With Bitcoin's price still in a downtrend and forming a bearish pattern, traders may need to brace for more downside. The combination of technical analysis and external geopolitical factors could further influence Bitcoin's price trajectory in the near term. XRP has dropped by 12.75% in the past 24 hours, hitting a monthly low of $0.511. The decline is mainly attributed to the SEC's appeal in the Ripple lawsuit, along with heightened geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. XRP's recent decline comes as part of an ongoing trend within an ascending channel. Historically, XRP has bounced back after hitting the lower trend line, which coincides with the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement level around $0.5,165. If buyers return, XRP could climb back to test resistance near $0.65 by October. However, a break below this level could push XRP down to the next support zone at $0.4639. XRP's price remains under pressure due to both the SEC appeal and geopolitical instability, but its technical pattern indicates potential for a rebound. However, traders should watch closely for key support levels to gauge the likelihood of a sustained recovery. If you've been with us so far, a big thank you. Don't forget to subscribe for free to Bitcoin Zella for your daily news. The link is waiting below. That's all for today's crypto news. Stick around for more updates, insights, and analysis on cryptocurrencies. Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more exciting content.